Are you ready to go from, am I good enough, to, wait, is this even good enough for me? Welcome to the Self-Love Sessions podcast. I'm Nadja Hagen, your hostess and self-love coach for all your high-achieving women recovering from people-pleasing and ready to prioritize yourselves. In this show, I share actionable tips and tools to help you set healthy boundaries and prioritize yourself, so that you can intentionally build your life aligned with your values and finally build mutual, connected relationships without the need to pretend to be someone you're not. Let's dive into today's episode. Hello, my friend, and welcome back to the Self-Love Sessions podcast, the space where we redefine self-love, boundaries, and confidence, so you can live, work, and lead authentically. I'm Nadja, and today we are diving into a topic that so many high-achieving women struggle with: saying no at work. If you've ever found yourself overloaded with tasks that aren't yours, agreeing to meetings you don't need to be in, or feeling guilty for protecting your time, this episode is for you. We are going to talk about practical boundary setting in professional settings, managing relationships authentically, and protecting your energy and time. And here's the kicker. Saying no isn't just about pushing back on extra work. It's about choosing yourself without guilt. It's about self-love, confidence, and building relationships that respect your limits. So before we dive into today's episode, I have something I want to share with you. If you're struggling with overwhelm and you're constantly feeling exhausted and drained, then I have something for you. I have created an audio with 3 powerful shifts that help you shift out of overwhelm, out of feeling drained, and into thriving and reclaiming your energy. If this sounds like you need to get your hands on it, then head over to nadjahagen.com/overwhelmcure and grab your audio for free as my personal gift to you as a listener of the Self-Love Sessions podcast. The audio is less than 9 minutes, and I promise you, you will feel lighter afterwards, and you will know exactly what to do when you want to shift out of overwhelm and into thriving mode. So, that's it. Now, grab your coffee, or in my case, your tea, take a deep breath, and let's get into today's episode. So let's start with this. Saying no isn't selfish. It's self-love in action. I know that might sound counterintuitive, especially in the workplace. We are taught that being a team player means saying yes, that success comes from always being available, accommodating, and agreeable. But here's the truth. When you say yes to everything, you end up saying no to yourself. Think about the last time you took on something you didn't have the bandwidth for. Maybe it was the last time you request from your boss, or an extra project from a coworker, or even just staying late to help when you were already exhausted. How did you feel afterward? Probably drained. Maybe a little resentful. And if it happens often, it chips away at your energy, your creativity, and your well-being. You know what? I learned this lesson the hard way. A couple of years ago, I was that person who said yes to everything. Every project, every favor, every quick meeting. I thought I was being helpful, professional, ambitious, especially ambitious. Instead, I ended up feeling completely drained, tired, exhausted, and my biggest challenge was getting out of bed in the morning, because I was already so drained just by thinking of getting up and starting my day. So, here's the reframe. Self-love means valuing your time and energy as much as you value your ambition. It's about recognizing that your worth isn't tied to how much you do for others. It's tied to how well you take care of yourself in the process. And this isn't just about work. This is about how we show up in all aspects of our lives. When you constantly say yes at work, it bleeds into your personal time. How many times have you been too exhausted to enjoy your evening, too drained to spend time with loved ones, Or too overwhelmed to pursue your own passions? Or too tired to go to the gym? I know. I've been there too. And that's the cost of not setting boundaries. Here is something powerful to consider. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, you're teaching others that your boundaries don't matter. You're showing them that your time is less valuable than theirs. Is that really the message you want to send? Now imagine how it would feel to create space for yourself, to actually enjoy your time off without guilt, and to be able to focus on projects that light you up. That's what happens when you say no with confidence. So let's talk about what happens when we don't set boundaries. Ever been in this situation? You're in the middle of deep work and a coworker pings you. Hey, can you jump on a quick call? Or, the famous, do you have a minute? You don't want to seem unhelpful, so you say yes. The call runs longer than expected. It's never just a minute or even 5 minutes. And suddenly, you're behind on your own deadlines. Or maybe your manager assigns you extra tasks at the last minute, assuming you will just handle them. You don't push back because you don't want to seem difficult. But now, you're working late. Again. The cost of not setting boundaries is real. Burnout? Constant overcommitment leads to exhaustion. Resentment? Saying yes when you mean no breeds frustration. Loss of confidence? When you don't stand up for your time, you start doubting your ability to. Strained relationships? When people expect unlimited access to your time, professional relationships become unbalanced. Let me share something that might surprise you. Research shows that people who set clear boundaries at work are actually more respected by their colleagues. Think about it. When someone has clear boundaries, they are showing that they value their work and time, and that commands respect. I recently spoke with Sarah, a client of mine who is a senior manager at a tech company. She used to pride herself on being available 24/7. Her team could reach her anytime, and she'd respond within minutes. She thought this made her a great leader. But here's what actually happened. Her team became dependent on her constant availability. They stopped problem solving on their own. And Sarah? She was burning out fast. After we worked together on setting boundaries, something incredible happened. She started blocking off focused work time. She stopped answering emails after 6 p.m. And guess what? Her team became more independent, more confident in their decision-making, and they actually performed better with boundaries in place. Interesting, huh? And here's the truth. Workplaces rarely tell you to slow down. If anything, the more you do, the more they'll ask. Unless you draw the line, no one else will. One way to notice where you need boundaries? Pay attention to resentment. If you feel irritated every time you get a certain request or interaction, that's a sign that a boundary is missing. So before we dive into how to say no, let's talk about something I call the strategic no. This is about being selective with your yeses, so that when you do say yes, it aligns with your goals and values. Think of your time and energy like a bank account. Every yes is a withdrawal. Every no is a deposit. The question isn't just, can I do this? But, should I do this? Does this serve my bigger goals? I love using the 3-question framework. The first question is, does this align with my priorities right now? The second question is, will saying yes require me to compromise something else important? Very often, and you will be surprised by that, the answer is yes. The third question is, would I still say yes if I wasn't worried about disappointing someone? Or if I would not fear any negative consequences? This framework had saved me countless times from overcommitting to projects that weren't serving my bigger goals. Now let's get practical. How do you say no at work without feeling guilty and without it becoming a career-limiting move? First, here's a mindset shift. Saying no isn't rude. It's responsible. You are not rejecting the person. You are simply projecting your priorities. And one thing, super important, the people who are constantly saying yes, and at the moment they are saying yes, you already know they won't be able to deliver because they never do. They are always behind. They don't keep deadlines. Does this feel and look professional for you? For me, it doesn't. I prefer to have a no, not within this time frame. We can make it work in X amount of weeks instead of yes, of course we do it, and I know I will be there empty-handed. So, here is a simple framework for saying no at work. First, acknowledge the request. Show appreciation or empathy. Then, set the boundary clearly. No over-explaining, just the confident no. And offer an alternative, if possible. If you can, suggest another approach. So, let me give you an example. I appreciate you thinking of me for this project, but my plate is full right now. I want to make sure I do my best on my current priorities. Or another example. I won't be able to take that on, but have you considered asking, and then you can recommend another colleague that's able to do this. Another example is, I'd love to help, but I'm prioritizing my workload to meet my deadlines. Let me share a real example from one of my coaching clients, Jessica. She was always the go-to person for PowerPoint presentations in her team. While she was flattered, it was taking time away from her core responsibilities. She started using this response. Thanks for thinking of me for the presentation. Right now I need to focus on our Q2 deliverables. Have you checked out the new templates in the shared drive? They are really user-friendly. The key? Say it with confidence. No apologizing. No long explanations. Just a clear, firm, and professional response. So here's something we don't talk about enough. When you set healthy boundaries, you're not just helping yourself. You are contributing to a healthier workplace culture. Think about it this way. Every time you model boundary setting, you are giving others permission to do the same. You are showing that it's okay to prioritize well-being alongside work. You are demonstrating what sustainable success looks like. And is this not something we all want? We want to be successful. We want to be sustainable too, right? I've seen this ripple effect in action. One client, a team leader, started blocking off lunch breaks and actually taking them away from her desk. Within a month, her entire team was doing the same. Productivity didn't drop. It improved because people were more energized and focused. And if saying no still feels hard, I want you to think of this. Every time you say yes to something that drains you, you are saying no to something that could nourish you. Saying no is not about shutting people out. It's about prioritizing yourself, your well-being, and your success. Remember this. Your worth isn't measured by your availability. It's measured by the impact you make when you're operating at your best. And sometimes, making that impact means saying no to things that don't serve your bigger purpose. So I challenge you this week. Find one opportunity to say no. One situation where you can set a boundary with confidence. And when you do, remind yourself, this is self-love in action. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this episode resonated with you, be sure to follow the show. Leave a review. I would be so thankful for this. And share the episode with someone who needs it. And if you're ready to take your self-love and boundary setting to the next level, check out the Overwhelm Cure, my free gift to you, a 9-minute recorded audio that gives you 3 easy-to-implement shifts that help you shift from feeling drained and exhausted to come back to thriving mode. You can get your free version at nadjahagen.com/overwhelmcure. You will also find the link in the show notes. Until next time, remember, saying no is self-love in action. And I talk to you in the next episode. Thank you for tuning into today's episode. If you're ready to dive deeper into setting boundaries, knowing exactly when and how to communicate them so they stick, I've got something for you. Head over to nadjahagen.com/boundaries-checklist and grab your free 8 Steps to Healthy Boundaries checklist for high-achieving women, so you feel confident in every interaction. This is my thank you for listening and a way to keep supporting you beyond the self-love sessions. I can't wait to chat again in the next episode.